Hey everyone! Welcome to Turkish series stars. All the fresh details are waiting for you right here, and before we get swept into the story, remember to subscribe and share so you never miss the next update. Now, let's get into what happened last night when Ozan Baba and Sinem Unsal became the most watched pair at a private launch event that had the entire industry paying attention. They arrived side by side, fingers laced, moving at an easy pace that instantly drew eyes. For a room full of insiders who think they've seen it all, the entrance of Ozan Baba and Sinem Unsal was an undeniable highlight. They didn't rush. They didn't perform. They simply walked, smiling, and the cameras followed as if they were being called by something magnetic. Everywhere they paused, the energy shifted, the chatter quieted just enough to register their presence, and then the flashes began to pop. Their look told a story before either of them spoke. Ozan Baba went for a refined suit in deep, sleek tones, tailoring sharp enough to reveal the line of his shoulders without trying too hard. He kept the details minimalist, which only made the whole thing feel more modern. Right next to him, Sinem Unsal floated in a dress designed with quiet elegance, no heavy ornamentation, nothing screaming for attention, just a fabric that moved with her, a silhouette that whispered about taste. Together they looked composed and coordinated, like two notes in the same melody. At the entrance, they faced the press with the calm of people who know exactly where they are and exactly why they are there. Microphones leaned in, questions lined up, and yet Ozan Baba and Sinem Unsal handled everything with that delicate balance between openness and restraint. They thanked everyone for coming, expressed their excitement about the night, and smiled through the inevitable questions digging for more. When anything touched on their private lives, they pivoted gracefully, offering warmth without opening the door too wide. The message was clear: this evening was about enjoying each other's company and the event, nothing more, nothing less. Still, even in quiet moments, their connection spoke. Cameras caught Sinem Unsal leaning in now and then to whisper something to Ozan Baba, and his answering half-smile, soft at the edges, protective in its own way, made those seconds feel intimate. Their hands stayed linked. When they paused for a pose, their bodies angled slightly toward each other. It wasn't planned choreography, but it felt like a rhythm only they knew. Inside the venue, the guest list was a who's who from the scene, and yet eyes kept circling back to the same place. It wasn't simply that Ozan Baba and Sinem Unsal are famous. It was that something about their togetherness felt effortless. They mingled, but never drifted. Even as they greeted friends, greeted colleagues, their shared center of gravity pulled them back within arm's reach of each other as if by habit. The effect did not go unnoticed, and those standing close enough to see the details were quick to murmur about it. It did not take long for social media to catch up. Images from the red carpet began buzzing from timeline to timeline, the linked hands, the coordinated colors, the relaxed smile Ozan Baba wore when he glanced at Sinem Unsal, the way she tilted her head toward him during a light laugh. Within minutes, users began weighing in. Some praised their elegance, others claimed they'd never seen them look so aligned. Comment after comment pointed out their chemistry, the way they seemed to be tuned to each other's frequency. By the time the first hour passed, their names were already trending among the night's biggest conversation points. At their table, they listened to the program with a focus that felt genuine. They clapped at the right moments, spoke quietly during breaks, and slipped into easy laughter when the music took over the atmosphere. As the mood of the room warmed, so did theirs. Ozan Baba's posture was a steady presence at Sinem Unsal's side, subtle gestures, nothing showy. A light touch at her waist as they changed direction. A small guide through a crowded pathway. A moment, just before they reached the photo wall, when he leaned in to check if she was comfortable with the pace. In return, she answered with smiles that reached her eyes. The result was a portrait of intimacy that didn't need explanations. Fashion watchers had plenty to analyze. Sinem Unsal's understated makeup and graceful lines were the kind of choices that make stylists nod with approval. Her dress moved as she walked, catching light without grabbing it, and the simplicity of her jewelry suggested deliberate restraint. Next to her, Ozan Baba's look had that quiet precision that only shows up when everything is exactly where it should be. People online asked if they had coordinated in advance. The consensus, judging by the carefully angled photos and matching tones, was yes, and that hint of planning only intensified the feeling that they were in absolute sync. During another break, lenses found them again. One shot had Ozan Baba resting his arm lightly around Sinem Unsal's waist as they shared a few words, their expressions soft, their eyes catching like a secret they both understood. No statement could have been clearer than that single image. Though they avoided direct answers when personal questions surfaced, the language of their gestures was fluent. Gossip columns that had cooled to a simmer flared up again, reigniting claims that what they shared went beyond a casual stage. The night flowed on, and with every passing moment the mood seemed to relax them further. By the time the final act rolled in, those around them noted how their laughter had turned unguarded. More than once, a friend passing by joked that they looked good together, and both responded with an easy calm that didn't deny or confirm anything, just acknowledged the compliment with the grace of two people comfortable in their skin. The cameras did not miss it. When the presentations concluded, they took a slow lap through the venue, stopping to thank the hosts and congratulate the creatives behind the launch. They kept the phones mostly tucked away, barely glancing at notifications that must have been exploding on their screens. Instead, they surrendered to the room, the soft lighting, the swell of music, the quiet corners that offered fleeting privacy in a public setting. In one of those corners, they paused for a longer conversation. They leaned in, spoke in low tones, and shared a laugh that sparked at the same moment on both faces. A few steps later, as the music shifted to a rhythm tempting enough to pull anyone to the floor, they let themselves sway together for a minute or two. Not a full performance, just the sort of small dance two people steal while the world looks the other way. Rumors, of course, wasted no time building a life of their own. Whispers circled that the night had been planned carefully by both of them, a rare window carved out of intense schedules. Those close to the situation have been saying for a while that Ozan Baba and Sinem Unsal share more than admiration. They exchange ideas, swap notes on scripts, challenge each other on choices, and respect the crafts that brought them here. The suggestion that their bond rests on friendship as much as emotion has become a favorite refrain online, and last night's ease only reinforced it. Naturally, conversation drifted to the idea of seeing them share the screen. With two such strong careers and fan bases that track every move, the thought of a joint project feels inevitable to many. After all, audiences love a story, and the possibility of them bringing their real-life rhythm into a fictional world has already inspired fan edits and dreamcasts. During and after the event, social platforms buzzed with pitches, romance, drama, even a suspense tale that lets their contrasting energies spark. They did not address any of it directly, but their quiet harmony made the speculation feel less like fantasy and more like a door that could open when the time is right. As the night drew to a close, their departure became one final scene. They stepped out, still together, still holding hands, the kind of image that lingers in memory long after the car door clicks shut. Outside, reporters gathered for a few last words. Ozan Baba and Sinem Unsal kept it short and warm, thanking everyone for the evening, expressing how much they enjoyed the atmosphere and the chance to spend time with friends and colleagues. They sidestepped the more personal angles with familiar grace, responding with smiles, a few exchanged glances, and the kind of chemistry that can't be drafted as a press note. Fans who waited outside were rewarded with a wave, a quick smile, and that image of them slipping into the car. Him offering a steadying hand, her turning back one last time to acknowledge the crowd. It was a small moment, but the internet is built on small moments, and within minutes that video clip became a highlight of the night. Comment sections filled with praise for their poise, their understated romance, and the way they seemed to grow more aligned with each appearance. After they left, the story kept growing online. Photos and short reels from inside the venue stacked up across platforms, each one adding a new angle to the narrative. People replayed the way he guided her through the crowd, the way she leaned in when something made her laugh, the tiny details that make a connection feel real instead of curated. Fashion accounts ranked them among the best dressed of the evening. Fan pages compiled their most charming moments into montages. Industry watchers joined in, noting how their public presence has found a rhythm that feels steady rather than staged. Meanwhile, those in their circle hint that this particular night didn't come together by accident. According to chatter after the event, both had cleared space for it, even in the middle of tight filming commitments and upcoming obligations. They wanted the time, and they took it. That fact alone sparked another round of responses. Admiration, curiosity, and a wave of comments suggesting that prioritizing each other speaks volumes about where they are right now. Even so, they kept their boundaries intact. When it came to the content of their conversations or the shape of their future plans, they offered nothing beyond the moment's warmth. The message was consistent throughout. They were there to enjoy the evening, to support the launch, and to be present with one another. Whatever else may be true can wait for another day. And then came the question everyone seems to be asking, will we see them together on a set? That possibility was mentioned again and again as the night's coverage rolled in. Given the strength of their individual careers, the idea of a shared project feels like a natural evolution, something that could electrify audiences and dominate headlines. For now, though, Ozan and Sinem are allowing the speculation to swirl while they stay focused on their current commitments. A choice like that would need the right story, the right timing, the right team, and if last night proved anything, it's that they don't rush what matters. By the time the last photos were posted and the last car had pulled away, one thing was clear: the image of them holding hands, dressed with quiet sophistication and lit by the soft glow of event lights, had been etched into the week's memory. It wasn't just a fashionable moment. It was a portrait of connection presented without overexposure. And that, perhaps, is why people can't stop talking about it. Later, outside the venue, they offered a short follow-up to the press waiting near the exit. Once more, they kept the tone warm and the details minimal. They mentioned how much they enjoyed seeing friends, discovering the work being celebrated, and spending time in a space that allowed them to breathe after busy days. Their looks toward each other, those small, unforced exchanges, did just as much talking as their words. The cameras captured it, and social feeds quickly amplified it. Even during the final photos, they stayed close. There were no staged kisses, no dramatics. Just two people clearly enjoying the night, side by side. When the car door opened, Ozan offered a quiet cue, a simple gesture of protection as Sinem stepped in. She answered with a soft nod and one last glance back at the waiting lenses. It was a wrap, but it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like the opening chapter of a longer story the public is eager to read. In the hours that followed, congratulations poured in from fans and colleagues alike. Comments highlighted their composure, their style, and the way the evening had played out without a single misstep. Some wondered aloud if the next time we see them, it might be on a premiere carpet with their names attached to the same project. Others celebrated their ability to protect what's private while still gifting moments of real closeness to the audience watching from afar. If you take one thing from last night, let it be this: sometimes the loudest statement is the quiet presence of two people who understand each other. Ozan and Sinem didn't need grand gestures. Their calm smiles, their coordinated elegance, and their gentle care said everything. Whether the coming weeks bring new sightings or new announcements, the impression they left will keep the conversation alive. And that's where we'll leave it for now. This unforgettable evening, with all its subtle signals and unmistakable warmth, has carved out a place in the current gossip cycle that won't fade soon. We'll be watching the next steps, just like you. If you loved being here for every detail, make sure you're subscribed to Turkish series stars and share this video with friends who keep their eye on the brightest moments. Until the next sighting, stay tuned to Turkish series stars for what happens next.